Because when that hits home, there's gonna be a lot of crying.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Me, this summer, this summer is gonna be a
It's going to be very interesting.
very interesting summer.
Very interesting. So we are now live. So I
Uh,
want to thank everybody for tuning in and joining in to this program. We got our good brother here from AFG, the National Vice President, Brother David Gonzalez, to kind of give us an update on what's been going on in the federal workforce. His union represents, I believe, almost 1 million workers, right, Brother David? Almost right,
800,000.
800,000 workers. And for people who do not know, um, uh, Trump came in and just really started just demolishing the federal workforce. First, TSA, he took their contract away from them that affected about 50,000 workers. Then he did pretty much the same thing to the AFGE and other unions. So we wanted our brother to come back just to explain to us what's any new updates, what's the plan moving forward. I know there's some court cases where you guys have won in some areas, and so we just want to give everybody an update on what that looks like. So, Brother David, thanks for coming back. Appreciate you. And the floor is yours.
Well, I appreciate you, Brother Hooker, and the rest of your body. I appreciate. I always look forward to this invite from the first time that you guys invited me, and I really appreciate you. I appreciate the support from the brothers and the relationship that we're building here, a mutual relationship to help each other through this struggle, because it's definitely in a struggle. Like they say, he came for us first, and then
Yeah,
he'll come for you. So,
that's right.
we're all in this boat together. So, we got to get through this together. So, just AFG's at a critical point in our fight against the malicious assaults on government workers from our agencies. Trump plans to lay off 80,000 VA employees and attempts to politicize our civil service. The Trump administration, they're doing their best to dismantle the federal government brick by brick, agency by agency. Uh, and the only thing standing in their way is us, AFGE, and the labor movement. And now we got Congress using the legislative procedure called reconciliation to try to extend massive pay cuts, massive tax cuts
Hmm.
for the billionaires that was enacted in the last time Trump did this in 2017, and this is set to expire December 31st. These tax cuts, these tax cuts that Congress is trying to get through, well, $50 billion in federal employees' pay and benefits. On Friday, the Budget Committee voted 16 to 21 against the reconciliation package, including pay and benefits cuts to roll back civil service protections. Uh, 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 to roll back civil service protections because of the hardline conservative. There is insisting on steeper tax cuts. What the brother was just talking about. They're trying to hold out now because the Republicans, some a portion of the Republicans, want steeper tax cuts. What is in the budget is not good enough, and this is going to affect Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security, of course. Uh, At a minimum, what happened will delay the package, making it harder for Speaker Johnson to meet his target of passage before Memorial Day. However, this is a failure of President Trump's signature tax and spending package would be significant political setback. Republicans are highly motivated to reach a compromise. Therefore, we must keep urging our pro-labor, all of us together. We must continue to fight back against these moves on the anti-worker provisions from these packages affecting our retirees with that has Medicaid and healthcare and actually our benefits package because what they also tried to make an attempt to change the federal benefits package for federal workers in the package. These members want our support, and we must remind them that federal employees will remember these votes on election day, which is coming around soon for the midterms. We must stand united and deliver a resounding message. That means the message is no cuts. Specifically, we must reject the increased FERS contribution, saying no to raising FERS contribution to a 4.4% for all federal employees, regardless of their hire date. This is a direct assault on the retirement security of those who dedicated their careers to public service in the federal government. The lowered retirement benefits, saying no to changing the FERS retirement benefits calculation from a high 3 to a high 5. This is what they want to do to us. This will drastically reduce the retirement income of countless federal retirees. The elimination of FERS supplement, saying no to eliminating the FERS supplement, a crucial bridge for early retirees until they qualify for Social Security. The coercion of new hires, saying no to forcing new federal employees to pay both the employer and the employee share of
Right.
FERS, effectively undermining the merit-based civil service. These undermines the very concept of neutral service, civil service, the neutral concept of our civil service. The financial burden on due process, saying no to charging federal employees fees for filing grievances with the Merit System Protection Board. This is a blatant attempt to silence workers and deny them of their federal rights. These are some of the things that he wants to do to the federal government. He wants to charge us when we got a complaint against a grievance against our employer, the government.
So let me stop you right there real quick. So so the Trump says, listen, we know that your employer may be doing some stuff to you. He may violate your rights. He may violate your working conditions. He may violate your contract. He may do whatever. And they should be able to do that without you being able to file a grievance.
Basically, that's what he's trying to say. And if we file a grievance, then of course they would try to charge us for the grievance. Now we do pay for our grievances because you have to pay an arbitrator, of course.
Right.
You
Right.
guys know,
Right.
in our contracts, most of our contracts, it depends on how it's negotiated with the agencies. Most agencies we split half half.
Mhm.
In some agencies they may it may be loser pays all.
Mm.
It depends on how the contract is negotiated because with our agency, since we're so diverse and have different agencies, they have different contractual language.
Right. Right.
So, but basically, he's trying to say that, if you got a complaint, then you're going to pay for it, whether you
My,
win or
my,
lose.
golly.
So this
I thought my man said he was for the workers.
Oh, man.
is for the workers being quiet, shut
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
dribble,
I
right?
just want to
Right.
throw it out there. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I just had to
No,
ask
you're
that
good. You're
question.
good. Stop me at any point, brother.
Okay.
But the attacks don't stop there. The administration is not just coming for our pensions and our retirement, they're coming after the union itself. On March 27th of this year, Trump issued an executive order titled Exclusions from the Federal Labor Management Relations Program. This executive order stated hundreds of thousands of workers across multiple agencies had jobs whose primary functions was national security, which is false. Which is false, brothers.
Mhm.
This bogus claim says that canteen workers on military bases, basically, if you're working in a kitchen and you're feeding the servicemen and women during the day, that your primary function is of national security when
Mm.
you're cooking the food.
That's right.
Neither are the
You
employees
could be on
of
signal and hear about the launching of the missiles there.
ne- neither are employees of the International Trade Administration in the Commerce Department or the National Science Foundation or the Communications Commission, the VA doctors, the nurses are certainly not national security. Neither are the VA claims processors, the attorneys who ensure veterans receive benefits that they earned, or the electricians, the plumbers, the janitors who keep our facilities up and running. None of these people are national security, but he wants to say that they're national security. Even worse is that the administration is targeting certain unions. Employees at facilities represented by AFGE lost their collective bargaining rights, while employees with the same job in facilities represented by other unions retain theirs. This is a clear-cut political retribution because AFGE is doing what they're supposed to do, what our
Mhm.
unions are supposed to do, represent our people. But AFG, we're fighting back. The AFL has been fighting alongside us. All of labor has been fighting with us. We've held numerous rallies and together we have we've also led the charge. Thank you for the brothers that have contacted the brothers and sisters who have contacted their congressmen on HR 2550, the Protecting America's Workforce Act, that would undo the travesty of the executive orders that he has put in place and to restore collective bargaining rights for the affected federal employees. 7 Republicans, including Congressman Mike Lawler, have co-sponsored this legislation. He as every single House Democrat has signed on, meaning a majority of the House of Representatives supports this legislation. And we're not going to stop here. We're just getting warmed up. This fight is going to continue till the last day, till
Yeah.
his last day. We're not going to stop fighting for the labor movement or our brothers and sisters in the struggle. Like I said earlier, he came for us first, and we're low hanging fruit because he oversees the federal government, right? So we're low hanging fruit, and this is just the beginning. So we just appreciate you, brothers and sisters, for hanging in there with us in this fight. We appreciate your support, and we're going to continue to fight. We're going to continue to mobilize. We're going to continue to rally. We're going to continue to speak out, and we're going to continue to raise our voices at every turn. He wants to silence us, and we're not going to be silenced. He wants yes people around him, and we're not no yes people. We're gonna fight for our people, what labor's supposed to do.
Yeah, what we're supposed to do. Exactly. So moving forward, is there any new like court dates
Like
where
we did file when he filed the last executive order in March. We did file in that. We're in the courts in California right now, and we're waiting to be heard in court. NTEU filed, but just before us, they did receive a temporary injunction, and there was something that came out on Friday in reference to their lawsuit, but ours haven't been heard yet, and we're
okay.
waiting for ours to be heard. So we're hoping any day now that we'll be in court in California.
Who is NTEU?
The national teachers or treasuries is one of the other unions that
Mhm.
covers some portion of federal
Gotcha.
the
I
federal
think they with the
government.
Treasury.
Yeah, National Treasury
Employees Union.
Yeah,
Union. Yeah,
he going after everybody. Treasury,
Yeah.
FGE, uh, you name it, he going after you. Wow. That stopping the grievance filing. Whew. Talking about my UPS folks out there. What you think would happen if Carol Tomei had the ability to say, "Hey, man, you guys can't file no more grievances. It's over for y'all. Pack y'all up. It's over." Man, can y'all imagine that foolishness?
She will.
Well,
Yvette, can you imagine that?
well, this is the thing, brother. If the Trump administration gets away with this with us, what's going to happen in the states, and especially in those red states down south? What's going to happen in those states where these governors is going to take a page right out of his book and do that in the states?
Yeah,
This is a trickle down effect, and this
yeah,
is the thing that people that the American people has to see this, man. Have to see this. If you in this movement and you're all about labor, this is just a trickle down effect. Listen, this ain't the end all.
right.
If he gets away with this, if he gets away with this, then this is going to kill labor moving forward.
So I just want to say, because you say trickle down. If you go to the headwaters of the Mississippi River, you could just walk across it. Just little puddles of water and what have you. Go a few miles down and they're running a barge on that same river, right? This is designed to destroy the working class. Patco killed, I keep reminding people this, 1980, the year before Patco, we were 20% of the labor movement. Today we are less than 10. And if you subtract the public sector, we're really less than 10.
Yeah,
So now, if you can destroy the federal workers, what does that do for the private sector? What would stop Tomei? How does that help us organize Amazon? How does that help us do anything to further the interests of the working class? Because if you look at the bill that they just put into office, I remember them because I know some people who voted for him because he was not gonna tax overtime pay.
yeah.
And they asked the guy, is that in the bill? He goes, no, it ain't. What about not taxing tips? Is that in the bill? No, it ain't. So all these things that they were promised, none of it is in the bill, right? The PRO Act is not in the bill. Any watered down version of it anyway. And I think when you look at what we see happening, we're about to see the largest run on the Treasury of the United States by the ruling class. And it will be us who have to pick up the pieces, because even if you vote every Democrat out, you still got to pay for it.
Exactly.
Still
And
got to
this
pay
is
for it.
you're absolutely right, brother. And this is the thing that people don't understand. Normally, normally the conservative Republicans, they want to pay down the debt, but he's blowing the debt out of the water
Out of the
with
pond.
this. He's blowing it out of the water, adding trillions of dollars to the debt, and he doesn't care just to give tax breaks to his billionaire friends. I
That's right.
mean, look what he did. Look what he did. He went overseas and went to all of those places that he went to in Asia was places where he do business at. And his kids was just over there just before him sealing the deals on his
Dealing
business.
deals.
So basically, he went there after his sons went proposed their deal, and he went and finished the deal.
Right. But what kind of
And this is okay with some people. This is okay with some people. I
it
don't
is to some
understand
people, but
this.
let me tell you something. There's a lot of people who voted for him
I know.
are looking at this and going, it's a funny look. It's a funny look. There's a lot of federal workers that voted for him. It's a funny look. There's a lot of railroad workers that voted for him. It's a funny look. And I think when these tariffs hit home and the prices go up, which they've been going up anyway, but when the real punch hits them later on this year, but by then the damage is done. Because if we end up in some kind of stagflation, right, we're going to have real economic problems as you go into negotiations with UPS in the future, as we go into negotiations in the private sector tomorrow, because with stagflation, you can't get no money from nobody, right?
Yeah.
Because there is price increase, wage decrease, and you can't make them meet, right? And Japan been in stagflation for about 20 years. Now they have a better system to deal with their people than we do. But in this pirate capitalist country, there is no help for the working class unless they step out in a hard way. And if you look at the brutality that's being projected, it's going to harbor back to 1934. And you're going to see a level of violence from the people you pay taxes for, too,
Right.
from, who are going to assault workers in a way that, because we're getting primed up, right? We're looking at what's happening over in Gaza and those places, and we get numb. We just change the channel because it's so horrible. We look at a man that's going over here, and somebody's going to offer. I mean, just think about this for a second. Assumptively, we're still the dons on the block. We got more guns than everybody. That we would accept a plane that was 13 years old to be Air Force One. That plane was on the market to be sold since 2021 or 2022 and could not be sold because it's so personalized to one person that if you bought the plane tomorrow, unless you just like Gordy and didn't care, you know what I'm saying, if you hit the lottery big enough to do this, you wouldn't want that plane. It's like Michael Jordan's house up in Chicago. It took him 20 years to sell the house. He had to cut the price by 67% because the house was so personalized to him that if you bought the house, you had to change your name. and so, but the mere fact that you would not be insulted that a guy would offer you a 13-year-old plane, the president said, just think about going to John Gotti's birthday party and handing him a 13-year-old car, used car, right? That was not a classic. It wasn't a 57 Chevy, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't some kind of 52 Thunderbird or whatever it was, right? I say, hey, John, you'll be at the bottom of the river. John wouldn't say not a word. John would just look over at his guy and go, and tomorrow nobody could find you because you're swimming with the fish, as they like to say.
Right.
And I think that, and I hear but I think that the movement should be more angry by now.
Yeah.
We're 100 days into the greatest assault on the working class. 30% of federal workers are veterans, which means they don't care nothing about veterans. 30% of the federal workers are people of color. It's one of the first places where blacks could get a decent job, was in the federal government. One of the reasons why blacks love federal elections is that it's the federal government that, quote unquote, set us free, not
Exactly.
state governments.
I was just talking to a group of people the other day, and I said that. I said, this is, you know, working for the feds was a blessing to us as people of color, because it was our quickest way to the middle class.
Mm-hmm.
When we get these type of jobs,
Mm-hmm.
when you work for the federal, it was the fastest way to the middle class.
That's right. And
Sister Yvette, I know you got your hand up.
Yeah, and I would just like us to
Sister Towns, hold on. He called me. Hold on one second. Yeah, you'll be next. I noticed you raised yours as well. Because you called me earlier in the conversation about UPS's Carol Tomei
Yeah.
Which is she's currently attacking the UPS workers like I've never seen before.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she's been involved in a bunch of union busting by closing all our customer counters,
Yep.
getting rid of those jobs. And, you know, our leadership has been mute. I mean, that's union busting. If
Yep.
you're closing and getting rid of jobs and telling people, oh, they got 25 years over here at the customer counter, now you got to go inside a preload and start working to keep your job, you know, craziness. If that, and some people just had to, you know, give it up because,
Yeah.
you know, everybody didn't have that, you know, that option to change their entire life to fix it to new hours and adjust after doing something for so long. I mean, having that company roadie out here delivering packages for the last mile,
Yeah.
they're buying up new stuff, but yet and still they're closing a lot of facilities, getting rid of a lot of jobs, and we're hearing nothing. You know, it's an all-out assault on
Yep.
UPS and the
Yep.
workers, and so she needs nothing else as something to help her to go after us in another way. So if we had to pay for grievances that in that aspect, it'd be crazy. Like, I mean, we would
Yep.
be definitely, hopefully people would be riding. We should be like Brother Chris said now, everybody should be really mad already. We should be furious at this point. People should be in active mode. And I've seen a lot of people now activating because they realize nobody's exempt from this
Nobody.
nonsense. Nobody's
Nobody.
exempt. If you think you cruising and you good, like you say, they started here, you gonna be next.
Yeah.
It's nobody's unless you're with the billionaires and the millionaires, no care at all for you. So folks are starting to slowly realize, and some, you know, who already knew, the ones who already knew what time it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now they're seeing this, like I say, FAFO. People are really finding out
Yeah.
right now, every day. And when it comes to those tariffs, these past couple of weeks, I've been noticing while I'm out delivering that people are now owing UPS for us to deliver. So we can't even deliver the package until they pay that tariff. So I had one guy, he was like, no, I'm paying the company. I'm on a payment plan. I said, no, that has nothing to do with that. These tariffs. So you owe almost $300 for me to deliver this
What?
package for some jeans. Because, you know, they base it on the, you know, the cost of the item. So he was like, I said, so I can't deliver it until you pay it. I went to a film location. They had to pay $300. The guy yesterday, $158 in order to get their packages. So they're already feeling those tariffs. Now, I mean, they done switched them up again, but the tariffs are getting hit. People done ordered stuff, and now all of a sudden you got to pay this on top of whatever you already paid for the item, and they're really realizing what's happening. And you know, it's hard for me to say, hey, it's the tariff. I mean, I see it came from Canada. Oh, this came from China, so you're having to pay. You know, so it's already in effect, and everyday people are now seeing it with us just delivering, you know, off the truck.
Get out of here.
Can I ask you what was their expression when you explained to them about the tariff and they had to pay that? Were they pissed?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I was going back and forth with the guy about the jeans. Like, he was like, I got my other pair. What? I said, yeah, I guess just when they sent it, it was that time. Like, you caught it right at the wrong time. The man yesterday was like, man, Trump, he already knew. I didn't even have to. I was like, listen, he was like, man, he said, I can go and pay it today, though. But it's just crazy that, you know, people don't realize until sometimes it hits their front door.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, now they took that. I wasn't expecting to spend another $300 on something I already spent $1,200 on. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. Because I had to look at the jeans to see. I'm like, how much were these jeans? You know, for him to be spending all this money, but you on a payment plan for the jeans. But then now you got to pay this tariff just to get. I was like, listen, I don't know what they're gonna do with people's stuff if they can't pay it. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know what's gonna happen unless they send it back and some refunds. But anyway, it's a whole mess. For sure.
Wow.
My goodness. Sister Towns.
Yes, sir. I don't have an opinion. I appreciate, and I had one, but I don't think it's relevant now. But thanks anyway.
It's always relevant, but yeah.
So we kind of got off to a very fast start. Kind of caught me a little bit by surprise, and I had something I wanted to say when it started, a little bit on a lighter note. One is, yay to the New York Knicks. It's been a long time. So I just wanted to get that out there. I thought they have really done something right. But also, just as an aside, um, Joe Biden just been diagnosed with a very aggressive form of prostate cancer
Mm,
that ain't looking pretty right now. So, for those of you who felt he did some kind of something for the working class, however big you want to make it, however small it did something for the working class, certainly for those people who had pensions that were going to sink and
yeah.
and got bailed out, uh, put a prayer out for Brother
Mm.
Sleepy Joe Biden. I wish I had a president that was sleepy right now.
I hear you. I hear you. Wow. Well, Brother David, I don't want to hold you longer than we need to. I know you got a busy schedule ahead with fighting for your members there. And I got a brother here. I know you know him quite well. Him and I got arrested together on May Day. Brother Phil.
Yeah,
Yeah. His he's a vice president as well, right here in Philly.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
represent the second district, which is New Jersey, all of New York, and all of New England, and he represents Pennsylvania and Delaware. Yeah,
right.
he's one where there's 14 of us on the board that make up AFG's executive body, and he's
Okay.
one of them.
Yeah, man, we was in the paddy wagon together, man, and found out also that he was a 82nd Airborne like my father, and he was
Wow.
telling us on our way to the police station about, some of the things that they were doing, they jumping from planes and this, that, and the other, man. So I have the utmost I already respected him, but hearing that story, man, it just a little bit more respect than I already have for the brother. So
Yeah,
shout out to him. I know he gave you a shout out too on here.
yeah,
Let me
I've
see if I
known
can find
Phil
it.
for a long time. He's a great unionist brother, man. He's
Yeah.
definitely a hard charger, especially when it comes to the movement. We go back probably close to 40 years now because we
Wow.
both came out of the Bureau of Prisons together. He was actually one of the ones responsible for getting me involved in the movement
Okay.
in the federal government because he was a regional vice president at that time for our prison council,
Mm.
our union prison council, and he got me involved in the union coming up at my facility, and then the rest is history. Yeah, we've known each other for quite a while. He's a good brother, man.
Yeah, he is. He is. He really is.
Well, keep in touch with us, brother. Let us know what's going on because this, for those who are slow, this is serious. This assault on the federal workforce. I mean, people forget that he actually tried this in his first term.
Abs-
Uh,
yeah, he did. He
yeah,
did.
yeah. People forget.
Yeah, he
So,
took away for us. He took away official time, kicked us out of our offices and things of that nature. I'll be honest, if it wasn't for COVID, I don't know what else he would have done for us because he
Mm.
had other things scheduled for us. But
yeah,
COVID, when at the end, COVID took over everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So without COVID, he probably would have started a bunch of this stuff his first term.
yeah. And people don't realize this is a place. Some of the smartest people make sacrifices to go and work for the federal government, NIH, CDC, many of these various departments. We just, we think it's just some guy carrying the mail or whatever like that. Um, but there are federal prisons as well.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of highly technical jobs in the federal government that require
research for
research, yeah.
like what you just put out about brother President Joe Biden.
Yeah.
You know, research for cancer, scientists that do research and things of that nature. The programs he already cut
Yeah.
program dollars for you know, for our brothers and sisters in Africa that are suffering from hunger. You know, took us off the world stage, so now we don't support. You know, we're not a humanitarian country no more.
No.
So you know, these are just some of the things, like you said, that we're not. You know, you're not just you know, toting the mail. You know, the federal government has the federal employees affect almost everything that happens to us in the world.
Well, the wolf done took off his sheep clothing and walking around like a wolf.
Absolutely.
So we're not pretending to be peacemakers, right? But one of the things people forget, that the food that we're feeding people with, we subsidize in the farmers when we buy that food. And when we don't buy that food from the farmer just lost a customer, which was the federal government, you know. And so now people know who we are, right?
Yep.
And we're going to have to quietly globalize the struggle. You know, we had a struggle for the 8-hour day, and it was a global struggle. And we're going to have to tie in with other countries, because port workers all over the world are going to see their jobs slow down because trade been disrupted. You know, that flow that we have been accustomed to. Railroad workers are going to see the railroad slow down.
To your point, brother, we have gotten AFGE has gotten a ton of support, not only from our brothers and sisters in labor, like from you guys, but from abroad. We actually started a legal defense fund to help assist, because we had a lot of requests from, you know, from private companies and stuff that want to support federal workers, and they wanted to support AFGE, you know, help curb the cost, because it costs to be in this litigation game against the government. And you know, and they already cut our membership almost by, I want to say we're probably 150,000 members short of where we were probably about 7 weeks ago.
Wow.
And 150,000 members short. Yep. And we had a labor organization from the UK that sent us like $200,000 to put in our legal defense fund.
Wow, that's good stuff.
From the UK that has been, you know, seeing the news and monitoring our struggle.
Wow,
that's good stuff.
So, I mean, I won't have 200,000 for you, but if you send me something, Local 808 will contribute to that legal defense fund, because we are in the battle of our lives, and many of us don't seem to know it. But
I'll send it to Brother Hooker. There's a link.
Okay.
There's a link, and he can get it out to you guys.
Beautiful.
I appreciate. Listen, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. It's always a great time coming on here and updating you guys. Anytime, you know, I'm here, just like you're here for us, man, and for me, I'm here for you guys as well.
I appreciate that. Sister Towns, you got a question before we let Brother David go? I see you got your hand raised.
I do have a question.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's a question or a statement, but it may be both. And why is it the union all across this nation is behind the 8 ball? What we see happening with the union is not unexpected. We heard you all say, Mr. Gonzalez say, that Trump attempted to carry out this in his first administration. We seen and we read Project 2025, written by the Heritage Foundation, the Republican Party think tank, we've seen the destruction of what they want to do to the union. So why is it the union behind the 8 ball? So I don't understand that.
Well, sis, I think a lot of it, and I do see your point. I think a lot of it is that the union, its leadership, we didn't do a great enough job to mobilize our membership around what you just said. Like we kind of placated to a lot of our members because a lot of our members they wanted Trump, and so instead of telling them the truth about Trump, we decided to be quiet about Trump, and now we're experiencing Trump. And at this point, it's a little bit too late because he's doing what he said he was going to do. So when we heard things like his conversation with Musk saying that, hey, striking workers should be fired. When we heard him say things like, hey, man, I didn't want to pay my workers and I didn't want to do these things, we thought it was a joke. Well, not us on this call, but the people in the positions who who are supposed to mobilize the message didn't do that, right? We were okay with Trump doing that. And the other part, let's be real. Let's be really, really real with this. Um, Kamala Harris is a black woman. It's just what it is. She is a double minority. And the misogyny and the racism was more important than protecting your pension, protecting your working conditions, protecting your contract, protecting anything to do with the working class. All those things were more important than that. And this is what happened. This is what happened. That's just short and sweet right to it. We ain't gotta use no big words. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, well, I sort of disagree
Okay,
with
well, tell me what you think.
um because the Republican Party has been anti-union ever since I was a young person.
Hmm.
All right. And the Heritage Foundation had been putting this program together for a long time. So what is happening was supposed to happen because it had been, I'm sorry, I'm losing words. And it was one of the pillar of Trump administration. Just so happened that the first administration, he had a group of people who were pro government, pro constitution, and they did not allow him to be as provocative and as he's being now. Kamala Harris, the Democratic Party, has nothing. The Democratic Party is not even in a position because they lack the leadership to even and intercede on what is happening. This has been what the CEOs of America have been plotting for. You can see this by looking at the cases that have gone up to the U.S. Supreme Court and over the last few years, and how the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled against union. But for me, the handwriting was on the wall. It is just the union has failed its people. You cannot blame the politician because the members of unions voted for those politicians. Even now, the unions are not on the front line to push back. They are not on the front line in large numbers. So the union is ineffective. I was reading an article that said one of O'Brien's members, Vasquez, I can't remember his name, but one of the people in his administration got a job in the Trump administration. That blew my mind. And perhaps the other young man, he probably know who this person is. But the union, some members of the union are in bed with the Trump administration.
Oh, well, we know. You ain't gotta
So,
tell us if we know.
oh,
We know.
and you know, and I don't see the energy to inform members on what's happening. I don't see literature being put together, being passed out to members, paying members so that they know how they are affected by all of this. I don't see an educational program. For me, I see the union just sitting on its hand while we are being destroyed
So
and being made to feel hopeless.
right,
And I don't see, go right ahead.
no, so I hear everything you're saying, but some of it I disagree with because folks like David Gonzalez and the FGE and the AFL and the SEIU and there's a whole lot of unions that are out there on the
That's
front lines
reactionary.
working hard. I
That
mean,
is,
they are pounding the pavement. AFGE and the other federal worker unions have Trump in court. There's a lot of things going on. Now, if you want to be specific, we're gonna have to wait until Brother David Gonzalez is off the air because I don't want to get him caught up in anything that has to do with the Teamsters, and we can talk about that once he leaves because I know where you're going. And there's really only one union who isn't doing anything to fight back. And we'll talk about that once the good brother leaves
Well,
this program.
on that note, brother, if there's no other questions for me, then I'll
Yeah.
bid you guys
Yep.
and let you guys get into your internal business. Again, thank you, brothers and sisters. I appreciate you. We love you. AFG loves you. I love you. And
You know, brother,
until the next time.
you know,
Absolutely. Thank you.
no
Thank
doubt,
you.
man. Stay strong. So can I say something here?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Chris.
So I used to do a lot of, not a lot, but some fundraising. Whenever we would do this fundraising, people would ask about, well, what's Michael Jordan doing, or what's Oprah Winfrey doing, or something like that. And the union ain't Sean O'Brien. The union is each one of us. 1.3 million members are what make up the union. And as a rank and file member, I used to put out a thing called Savuka. And Savuka came from a South African band that had some revolutionary tendencies, I guess. And it started out as Shop Talk. And when me and the guy that started Shop Talk split, I did the separate name. But sometimes individually in our own barns, we could put that information out.
Yeah.
And we can have this dialogue. So like we waiting for some guy down the road. If you just saw Brother Hooker invited Brother Gonzalez to be a part of a conversation so that we can let our people know what's happening to these other trade unionists and how they're being impacted by the current administration. Now, we didn't seek out any approval from any other guy at the Joint Council or some other place. We knew that this is something that we had to do, and we just stepped out and did it, right? So sometimes individually, you just got to step off and just says, yo, I got to do this, right? And I'm going to have to go out here and have this conversation and write articles, take the time. I mean, I've done quite a few YouTube, they're on YouTube now, videos, just talking about things that's happening. I didn't seek the approval of no one, right? I sat up in my house and shot those videos and put them out there because I thought that I'm not sure how important it was, but I thought it was important, you know what I'm saying? And I think that we have to be very conscious and we have to individually start to do things rather than wait on other people to do it. Because when this battle, it's like if you're on a plantation, if you're waiting for everybody else to try to escape, maybe you don't ever escape. So when you feel it's time to escape the plantation, you got to just pack your bag and get out of here, you know? So the labor movement historically has been split in two parts. There's a very, what we call a movement oriented, and then there's a very reactionary part of the labor movement, and it has existed from day one of any labor movement, certainly in America. I ain't going to talk about what might have happened in Europe because I don't know. But we have to become individually proactive. And when that happens, the people around us are going to become proactive too. They're not going to win the Super Bowl, but they're going to do a little bit more because you did a little bit more, right? I went to a rally the other day for these striking locomotive engineers. I was disappointed in the turnout, right? But I was there. And other people were there, right? And it's a brick by brick building process because it fell down brick by brick. We used to be really, I'm talking about Local 808 now. Local 808 used to be able to turn out numbers phenomenally. But those people have retired and gone, and we have a new set of people. And I got to figure out how to get that new set of people to turn out in a manner in which they should turn out, right? So if this strike continues on Monday, I'll have some members that'll be on that line on Monday as well. But, we cry about things, and we talk about the Democratic Party. When we vote Democrats in, we go home, right? So we don't ask for nothing. We vote a black mayor in, we go home. Oh, got a black mayor, rah. When you go to his office, inside his office every single day is a line of people they call lobbyists, banging away. I need this bill passed. You need to do this. You need to do that. And my experience is we are not there in the same numbers that corporate America is there. And so because we have to pay people, they pay people, but they can afford to pay people. We need people who are going to do things just because it need to be done, right? I'm going to sweep this thing because it need to be swept, not because somebody's paying me to sweep it, right? And when we start to get back to that type of a labor movement in which we're doing things because it needs to be done, we're going to see a change, right? We vote people in because they tell us things, right? So Trump told them that he wasn't going to tax overtime, and he told me he wasn't going to tax Social Security, and he told him he wasn't going to tax tips. None of those things are in the big, beautiful bill that they have down there. What's in there is devastation for poor people. And there are people who believe that when they get Medicaid, they deserve it. But when black folks get Medicaid, they lazy and no good. There are people who get WIC and food stamps who think they deserve it. But when black folks get the same food stamps they get, we lazy and we no good, right? So those are things that we have to fight through. And those are day-by-day battles that hopefully if we have new leadership in the union in the future, that those new leaders are going to start to think about the community of us. I know you're listening, Brashawn. You can run with my idea like you ran with the other ones. But we'll have to build a community in which we are not reacting to things, but we are always acting around things. Gun violence, the quality and the conditions of our schools, of our neighborhoods, food deserts, right? If you look at what he did in the Library of Congress, at the Pentagon, and what have you, you see them getting rid of black women, black men. They just replaced the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff with a guy that they had to get a waiver to put him in that position. He wasn't qualified. So they'll take a less qualified white person over a highly qualified black person. When you see them bringing as refugees these white folks from South Africa who claiming they refugees, but people from Haiti that are starving, the people in Gaza that are starving, the people in South America, they can't be refugees, but you could pay. They didn't walk 1,500 miles. We paid taxpayer money to fly them here to give them refugee status. They're sending a very clear message that people like Sean O'Brien have an inability to see. And maybe even some of the other leaders, but he's the one I'm closest to. So those are the issues that confront us, and labor has to become consciously clear about what happens to Social Security. What happens to Social Security if, as of today, you're less than 50 years old? Do you get Social Security or you get a 401k? Are you going to be responsible for managing your own? Do companies keep putting money in or they don't have to? So what we're looking at is something that's going to require, but when you hear them talking about, oh, well, we want to suspend habeas corpus, which means I could just lock you up and I don't have to explain anything to anybody. Well, he was driving too slow, right? A woman told a story about the speed limit was 35 and she was doing 30. The guy pulled her over and it got she turned out to be a judge. So it kind of ended up in a funny situation. But he pulled her over and told her she was driving too slow, and that made her suspicious. And when she got out of the car and had her judge's robes on, you would think this dopey rascal would have just figured it out in an instant. Woo, I done stepped into some stuff right here. Why are you wearing them robes? So you have to understand that we're about to go back into an America where being stupid and white is more important than being educated and black, right? We have a union that practices that lifestyle right now. We had to pay, I don't know, almost $2 million for some people they fired on a racial discrimination thing. And then we had to pay some other people who they fired for retaliation, right? So he came in using the same methodology as the Godfather 47, right? So we have to understand where we are in this union as Black people, right? And the willingness to use other people in pushing an agenda, right? And we'll talk about that when our brother feels it's the appropriate time. But we have some trying times in the street. We have some trying times in this union.
Yeah, we do.
So we need to be very, very individually proactive.
Sister Yvette, so you got your hand now.
Yeah, I wanted to just kind of respond to what Sister Towns was talking about, and I get it. A lot of us look at, we focus locally, that's what we see. So if our locals aren't doing what's necessary in these sort of times, it feels like, where can we go? What can we do? But I do applaud the leadership at these locals who are stepping out, like you guys, showing up at people's rallies, creating your own rallies, standing out and doing what you need to do, because that's what you have to do to motivate your own membership. If we see the leadership at the IBT doing whatever they're doing, if your local is doing the same thing he's doing, then it's time for you to make a change at your local. Because we should be fighting locals at this point in time, educating locals who are making sure their members understand what's going on and how it's going to affect them. Like she said, it should have been going on already years ago and throughout, but we do recognize that unfortunately, in a lot of unions, keeping the membership uneducated helps keep you in your position. The more education your members have, then you feel like it's a threat. Well, everybody doesn't want to be the local president or secretary of treasury. Everybody doesn't want to work at the union hall. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't be equipped to fight within their own locations, within their own crafts. Everybody should have that knowledge so they can do what's necessary to fight. And so when it's time to jump off and we got to go run here and do this and do his and support here, then we're already ready because our people know what it is. And so that's where, over the years, it's just been a failing period. And that now is exacerbated because now this super attack could have been thwarted off a lot better if we had our people ready to do what was necessary to fight it.
Right.
But like I said, trying to keep positions and titles and checks and whatever has kept our membership from getting what they need to get in a lot of these locals, which is unfortunate all over the country and in a lot of unions. So that's something that is a fight currently, and we're fighting that on top of this. So this current fight is a big fight. So
Yeah.
thankfully, like I said, this stuff is knocking at people's doors. So now they're like, hold on, let me pay attention a little bit more. Okay, what's going on? And now they may realize more so than they did before that you're not getting what you're supposed to get where you are. And so, okay, now I know I can change this. Okay, let's get this together. Let's move. So that's where we're standing now. So I understand her frustrations, but we do have to, like say, individually start fighting so people can say, oh, we can do this. Yes, you can. It's been successful over here. We got some people over here who's doing it. That's made some, inroads. Yeah, we're fighting. It's hard. We got a lot coming against us, but we can still make those, efforts to get some stuff done, starting small and moving big.
Yeah,
So
and there are real demands that have to be met. I say some things that I think people think I'm crazy when I say it, but it's real. The working class in America, and people talk about the middle class, and I'm gonna be very clear. You could make middle class money as a worker, but you're not in the middle class. Because if they cut off the overtime tomorrow, you don't slip backwards. Middle class means that you have an ability to make money independently. I'm a dentist. I'm a doctor. I'm a CPA accountant. I own my own plumbing business. But when you got to punch another guy's clock to get your check, you're in the working class. And we need to be very clear about how we put these pieces together. But I want to say this. The working class right now, right? The federal minimum wage is $7.25. I don't know where in America $7.25 takes you. I don't even think you could get a burger and fries for $7 anymore, right? So the working class actually needs, and I don't care whether you're at UPS, freight, on the dock of the bay or on the railroad or wherever, the working class take away the overtime so we be very clear about what they make, right? The working class needs a 50% wage increase immediately. You know what I'm telling you? Immediately. Which means that minimum wage came up, the $20 guy became, I don't know what the math is of 50, 20, 40, whatever it is, right? It doubled, right? Because if you look at the cost of a house, insurance, heating, if you live in an area that require heating, AC, if you live in a place that require AC, electricity, life is expensive, right? Let me tell you, I've gone to the supermarket since I've been going since I've been a kid. I went with my mama. I went with my girl's mama because me and my girl's mama used to go. I love the supermarket. I'd rather be in the supermarket than be in a nightclub. I never noticed the price of anything. I went in, I got what I wanted, I paid for it, I walked out the door. Now I'm like, what? And if you could make me look, it's expensive because I don't normally look, right? The working class needs to become very clear to stop dealing with people that excites them and start dealing with people that are addressing their issues, right? So people come out and have all that, what do you say? Strap on your helmet and all that. I ain't seen no reason to strap on no helmet. I haven't seen it yet. Practice stride, practice stride. Oh, we done cured UPS. We done whooped them in the ground. But 20,000 people about to lose their job. I don't hear nothing. How about having a demonstration on their behalf? Right? How about talking about that? right? How about going to the company and say, wait a minute, man, we bargaining. I have never seen a contract with UPS in which in the years after they laid off all these people. I never saw that. I've been around a little minute. I never saw that, right? So something is going on here, and we have to become very conscious individually, right? In our barns, right? To be ready for something in which it ain't going to be pretty over the next few years. It's going to be rough. It's one of the reasons why Brother Hooker started this program.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? He started this program because he realized that there was a need to educate as many people as possible. And, you know, the Emir didn't give him no jumbo jet. So the only
No.
way he could get around was
Yeah.
on Facebook.
Yeah.
So, you know, he started this program right here. And we have to spread this word, right? The things that we take away from here, we have to spread the word. But Sister Towns is
Yeah. Yeah. She got her hand up. Hey, sis, come on and talk to us.
Yeah, and I found an article, but it's not the article that I read, but it does have this person name on it, and you all are probably familiar with her. So allow me to present a few lines to you. It says, and again, this is an old article, but it addressed my point. On Wednesday, Teamster President Sean O'Brien appeared once again on Fox News to talk about his support for Lori Chavez de Mira. Is that her name? Am I
Yes, that's
pronouncing
her.
that right?
Yes.
DERER.
No, you're
Donald
right.
Trump picked for Labor Secretary. Her nomination has been widely seen as a gift to O'Brien and the Teamster in exchange for their refusal to endorse Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in 2024 election. A move that helped solidify Trump's increased support among working class voters. However, Chavez is anything but a champion of working people, and her point.
Uh-oh. Somebody must have got to her.
Did she get off the line? Because I wanted to say something. Did she get off the phone?
No, she's still there. Hey, Sister Towns, what happened?
My phone, something happened
Oh,
with my
okay,
phone.
okay.
They trying to get you. They trying to get you.
Yeah. Go ahead, sis.
The young lady who's going to say something?
No, we waiting for you.
Oh, and I just want to just share that person's name, and just for us to reflect on the politic that Sean O'Brien is playing, and how, and I want, those listening in to understand that the people we are paying millions and millions of dollars to a month do not have our best interests in heart. And we have to start strategizing on how to help one another, irrespective of your race, irrespective of your political party. We are all in this fight together, and we must unite and fight as such.
well, I can say this, that Lori's claim to fame is that her father was a Teamster. I know people whose fathers were Teamsters, worked 30 years, retired, and got a pension, who doing time in jail. So I'm not sure that simply being related to a Teamster makes you a labor advocate. But her voting record when she was in the Congress, as reported by the AFL and all these different organizations, rank Congress people based on how they vote on their issues, ranked her 10%, right? 10, not 40%, 10, right? She supported the PRO Act, and that was an easy support simply because she knew it wasn't going to go anywhere, right? And she was in a district that she kind of stole from a Democrat and lost it back to a Democrat later on. So sometimes you got to placate those people who you stole from.
Mm.
we saw further on a video clip of Senator Mark Wayne Mullins
Mhm.
and Derima Ann O'Brien. And Senator Mullen was talking about how great Trump was to bring him and O'Brien together. But he reminded O'Brien that in this relationship that they now have, he was the man, which means that O'Brien was the submissive. I don't want to say he was a woman because that wouldn't be appropriate, because I know women who wouldn't have tolerated no conversation like that. But that Senator Mullins was the dominant and he was the submissive. In this relationship with Trump, he has isolated the Teamsters from every other union that makes sense in America. And as a result of that, one of the most powerful unions is not in the position to where we can fight more together than we are right now, because he allows gas to escape or pressure to escape. You understand what I'm saying? So instead of him sealing the leak, he is the leak. And he's weakening this organization and then turning around and playing blacks against blacks. And we have to address this, because we need to understand who we are, what we are, when we are, and why we are. All right. So said my piece for the moment.
I hear you, Sister Towns. That so the Secretary of Labor was getting confirmed, and I forgot the guy's name. The congressperson kept asking her over and over again, "Do you still support the right, the PRO Act? Do you support the part where it takes out the right to work and all this other kind of stuff?" And she said that right to work is okay in some states. It's up to the states. Now, I would think that once hearing that, because you got to understand, I believe there were some Teamsters and the general president was behind her for her confirmation hearing. Now, once hearing that, I would have got up and left out, because right to work is probably, if it's the most devastating legislation against unions. So why would I throw my support behind anybody that wants to take away, weaken my strength as being a labor organization? I don't understand that. And maybe I'm naive and I'm not too much into politics, but one thing I do know is if you try to weaken me, then we don't have that. We don't need to be in any type of relationship at all. You're trying to take away from my members, you're trying to take away from our fight, then there is no way that I can support you in any endeavor, because you have told me time and time again on national TV that you are for legislation that will weaken our fight against employers. That can't happen. But for whatever reason, they champion her and champion her and champion her as it was some great victory for the working class. And it was the complete opposite. That is a problem. Sister Towns.
Yes. What you're saying, this article was written February 2025, is what is in this article. You guys just give me 2 minutes, 2 minutes. This is mind blowing to me. Again, you guys have been members, not again, you guys have been members longer than I have. So you've gone through a lot, but I'm new to this. And this again blows my mind. It's now paragraph 2 says, the fact that the president of an organization that represent hundreds of thousands of some of the most precarious and exploited workers in the country, including the thousands of immigrants, would even agree to appear on the reactionary, hate-spewing, anti-immigrant Fox network was bad enough. In fact, O'Brien has appeared on the channel several times in the last year, but it was his pathetic attempt to use his appearance to curry favor with the Trump administration and his ongoing shift to the right that was most disturbing. Not only did O'Brien refuse to condemn Trump and Elon Musk's attack on federal workers, arguing that ultimately that was for the courts to decide. Oh my goodness. He also provided working class cover for Trump cut to savings, that there is a lot of fat in the government and that he is trimming. And I don't think people are opposed to that. O'Brien then added that he should wait to pass judgment on Trump presidency until day 101, effectively giving the president a free pass to carry out his racist and anti-worker reactionary agenda for several more months before drawing a conclusion. My God, every member of union should read this article right here. Every member.
My sister, O'Brien himself has agreed that you can have right to work state by state out of his own mouth. You ain't got to go to DEREMA. He said it himself, right? So you,
And that is
but he didn't start a rightward spin. He has always been a racist, right? And what we have is we don't have Republicans. They assume the name Republicans, but they're Confederates, right? They're insurrectionists. They're people who attempted to overthrow the will of the people, right? So just think about this, that I, Joe Biden, stole an election, and as I was stealing it for myself, I allowed Marjorie Taylor Greene to win her spot. Really? That I was stealing Georgia and allowed her to win? Why would I do that? Why wouldn't I steal the whole thing, right? And then while I'm president and have all of the power, I couldn't steal it again. So we have to become very careful about how we allow them to even talk to us, right? Because they're using a language to make you believe there's something to be suspicious about. Nobody was suspicious about an election until Barack Obama got elected. And all of a sudden, every election was subject to question, right? When John F. Kennedy got elected, and that might have been some shiesty stuff there, right? They moaned for a couple of seconds, but he was white, and he was rich, and he was handsome, and it just went by the wayside. But this has not ended. The Tea Party started when Barack Obama came into office, right? So we have to realize that this struggle started. Excuse me? This struggle has been going on since 1619. And every time we make a few steps forward, we had Reconstruction. They burnt down Wilmington. They burnt down Tulsa. They burned down a whole bunch of places, Rosewood, a whole bunch of places was torched because they thought we were getting ahead. And then you come up to the 60s and we got the right to vote. So we have never lived in a democracy. So we have to be very clear about when we having these conversations, not to fall into the conversation of the dominant media, because the dominant media is a party to the crime. Okay, as much as you think they're crying, they're not crying, right? Because who owns MSNBC? Who owns CNN? Who owns CBS? Who owns NBC? Who owns Fox? Right? You could go through this list. we have to be careful about how we allow them to make us think, so that we, the victims, are becoming, we have to take the blame for what went wrong. Well, y'all didn't show up in the election. Really? Really?
Hey, Hooker, Paula was trying to say something, so can you let Hooker? Paula was trying to say something, so please let her talk.
Which one is?
She was Mike Thompson.
I'm under Mike, but it's okay.
Oh, go ahead, sis.
It's okay. I was gonna say something to what Mrs. or Miss Thompson Townsend had said, but it's okay. I'm not gonna say anything, but I wanted to add on to what Chris said. Chris, everybody always talk about I can't even think of the Oklahoma City, Rosewood, but you know how they destroyed them cities, but everybody keep forgetting about
Also.
yeah, thank you. Everybody keep forgetting about the cities, the towns, the cities and town. Well, they wasn't cities, they was towns. The black towns that was thriving that are sitting underneath
Yeah.
of lakes. You have so many cities that was thriving that these black people didn't do anything to the white people, but because they were, doing what they didn't supposed to do because they were blacks or because they had the money and the wealth, they killed a lot of them people and they put their cities, they drowned out the cities. But everybody always just talk about Tulsa
You're right.
and talk
Right.
about Rosewood, and it's another one that no one talk about, but I have to look it up because I can't think of the name of it. But I
Lake
just wanted
Lanier. Lake Lanier.
well, Lake
That's
Lanier
it.
it's Lake Lanier, Lake Lanier, Lake Martin, Davenport. You already know about Central Park. But
Central
no
Park.
one really
Yeah.
knows about Yorkville. Um, no, the Central Park Reservoir. It used to be a black town there. And that was connected to the Central Park one. But it's just a little history there because I always hear about the towns, the other cities and towns, but no one talks about the little small towns that are now sitting under all these lakes.
Thank
That's
you,
it.
sis. Thank you.
That's true, Miss Thompson. That's true.
All right, so let's get right to it, man. Hey, this IBT election, man, is coming up next year.
It's called Seneca Village. Central Park was known as Seneca Village. And it was actually a very thriving location that was destroyed to build Central Park, but not just the reservoir, the Central Park and the reservoir that's in it. Yes.
Gotcha.
But the only reason we mentioned that,
It's two different cities. Yorkville was next door to Seneca. They went after Seneca first, and then the Seneca people ran over to Yorkville, and then they drowned out Yorkville. It's two different cities. I did a whole paper on this.
so Central Park,
Mm-hmm.
as far as what I understood.
Yes,
But
Central Park was
there's still a Yorkville in New York right now on the east side. Seneca Village existed in what is today known as Central Park.
Right, and Yorkville existed what is now Central Park Reservoir, the water park.
Mm.
And then you have Polingua, you have Oscarville, I can't think of Davenport one, but Davenport, then you had one more. It's actually 8 total, but 5 known ones. And the only reason why a lot of people know about Lake Lanier now because they're actually doing a movie on Lake Lanier.
I heard about that.
Okay.
I got something to say. So,
What's up,
my
brother?
name Don. How you doing? So now let's just imagine all these towns we talking about in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street. Can we imagine what kind of benefit that would have came down through generations
Yeah.
if this was thriving? We could have hit the whole country just from these little towns. We would have been a thriving people instead of like Christopher Vera said, but we would have been a thriving people if this would have came down through generations. They cut off masses of wealth from destroying these towns, masses of education.
Yep.
We was thriving. We built cars in these towns, hospitals, schools. So like I just want to add that just imagine if all this would have came about, we wouldn't be in the position we would be in now. Totally.
Brother, what local are you from?
705 Chicago, 705.
Okay, okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Nice to have you, brother.
Yes, sir. That's all I want to say. Thank you. Thank
Thank you, man. Thank you for your
you.
participation.
And I heard you, Mr. Thompson. Thank you. Okay.
Mama Spears, you got anything to add before we move on? Oh, Miss Shaw, go ahead.
You were about to say about the 2026 elections.
Yes.
The reason I'm late getting to the Zoom call because I received a phone call from some people who want to put a slate together. They called me, have conversations with me, but I'm already consumed in some other things that I'm doing. And all of a sudden now, it's a whole big debacle about me wanting to be a part of a slate. Isn't that anybody has the right to run, correct?
Yes, correct.
So why is it when someone new, someone fresh wants to come in, it's a problem? We know what the real issues are, but why do you have to blackball these particular people because they have the right to run? This is ridiculous. It's sad.
Yeah, that's Teamsters politics 101, man. That's how they do, man. You stand up, you speak out against the administration. They want to blackball you, man, and make you the black sheep or whatever the case may be. I had to go through it in my own local when we first decided to run. I mean, there's just something that for whatever reason the Teamsters they feel like they have to do this, man. They talk about democracy, but they don't really practice it, man. You know what I mean? It's really an autocracy in the Teamsters. It's authoritarian figure wants to be a dictator, and this is not an O'Brien thing, you know. This Hartford did it, and so this is a system that the organization has already operated in since I've been a Teamster for 20. Man, this is my 26 years, so it's always been this way.
That is so. It's crazy to me. It's not anything new to me because Yvette and I ran in 2022 for the 2023 elections, correct, Yvette? Is that correct?
Correct. I guess you can't see me shaking my head. I'm back.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. So and as soon as I never had a write-up, I never had an issue, nothing. As soon as I decided that I want to be more a part of union activity, all of a sudden I'm getting blackballed, fired, this, that, and the third. I'm a union steward. I pay full dues as a union steward. Why? Why am I paying dues? I'm a steward.
Well, that's not everywhere, so everybody not used to that. We have to put a caveat. In our local, if you are a lead steward and not an alternate steward, they pay your dues for you. So as a consideration for all the stuff that you deal with. So I know that's not everywhere, but at our local, that's how they do it.
And on top of that, as me being a steward, if the union is not supporting me, and I'm airing out my dirty laundry, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and do it because I know they listening. So go ahead and hear it. If I am the one that was voted in by 70% of the members to represent these members, if you're not doing anything for me and you stopping and blocking me, then you blocking them too. This junk is crazy. It's a new day. It's a new time. Y'all have to deal with younger, more fresher members that's going to change this thing around because it cannot continue to go the way that it's going. If so, then we're going to go back to the 1930s when we bringing bats and everything else to work.
Don't say that too loud. Don't say who you work for, man. They're going to be waiting for you at the door.
I'm just saying, if they don't stop their mess, if they don't stop, that's why the grievance process was created, to kill the noise on the violence, correct? To settle the grievances on paper.
Yeah.
But they not even settling the grievances on paper.
Man, what you talking about? I know. Listen, Woo, Jesus.
That's my soapbox, and I'm gonna get back off of it and go back
All
in
right,
here
well,
and be
let's
a
no,
mama.
no, we're gonna stay there. And I know you guys were talking about something local, but you know, we got the national election coming up here next year. I think the delegate election is probably gonna start in the fall and carry over all the way until the springtime. And then the delegate convention is June,
Yes.
next June 2026. And then November 2026 is when the election is going to be. And so I know there's this rumor out there. And so I just want to go and just talk about it. So way back, not way back, so last month, I had a conversation with my joint council president, who is also one of the Eastern region presidents on the current administration slate. And this was the PA conference. And so I talked to him about one of the organizing I wanted to do because I wanted to add about 300 more members to my local by the end of the year. And I was just talking to him about it. And we in high gear doing that. After that conversation, he pulls me to the side and he asked me a question. He said, Richard, man to man, I gotta ask you a question. I said, yes, sir. What's going on, Bill? What's happening? He says, are you running in the IBT election? I said, Bill, since you said man to man, I am going to run in the IBT election, but I'm not running against you. And so that's how I kind of left it. And earlier that month in April, we had another discussion about the PA conference. And I asked him, I said, is the general president coming? He said, yeah. I said, listen, all due respect to you, me and my guys, 623, we're not going to be in the audience when the general president speaks. And I just want to let you know, because I don't want you to get any pushback or blowback of we trying to make a scene. I say, listen, man, if he's not talking about the stuff that's going on with the working class, with Trump and Musk and the UPS, then we ain't trying to hear it. We tired of hearing the same speech about helmets and chin straps and all this stuff, man. We tired of hearing it. If you're not talking about what's going on in the working class today, we ain't got time to hear it. And so, we wasn't there when he was speaking. But he told me something, man, that I just can't turn it loose, man. I want to tell you guys this. So in our conversation at the joint council meeting, he told me that President Trump will call our general president and ask Bill Hamilton to kind of put a lid on the pushback that we were given that we were not given in support to Trump. Just think about that for a minute. The president of the United States, anti-labor, anti-working class, pro-employer, pro-ruling class, calls a person that's the head of a labor organization to get a state to stop the pushback against him. Something got to be done. Some things have to be fixed. Some things have to change. And so I already written my letter. I wrote it back in April the 10th. I got it sitting on my desk. I just haven't sent it in. There's some things that I got to do first. I got to go visit my mom's grave and talk to her. I didn't get a chance to do that growing up. Like everybody get to talk to, I want to be able to do that. Talk to my pop, have him pray over me. And so, because I know it's going to be, I know it's going to be crazy. But the whole politics I don't care about. But just to let everybody know, I am going to run. So when people ask, because it's already out there, because I know what joint council president, he put it out there. But you heard it from me. Richard Hooker Jr. is going to run in the IBT election. Just so y'all can stop asking, I'm running. The letter will be out once I'm, make my journey down south, talk to my mom, talk to my dad, and then that letter will be out.
Well, folks on the West Coast knew you were running because I asked that. Someone asked me, and I'm like, I don't know. So many people asked me, and I'm like, I don't know. I didn't hear anything.
Yeah.
And I asked another person, but that person, he didn't know too much about it either. So with the West Coast, I already knew. Just to let you know.
Yeah. When I was in Unity Conference, I found that you guys knew already. I had a bunch
Yeah.
of West Coast folks out there. Hey man, we already heard you running. I said, man, what's going on? I didn't even say nothing. But the word had traveled. And I get it, right? I mean, listen, it's time to put up or shut up. I can't come on this program, talk the kind of things we talk about, go and fight the employer, go on the street and rally, and then we see a problem down in DC and we not try to fix it. Right? You mean that's hypocritical on my part. And that's where that loyalty and responsibility comes in that we talked about, right? Are we loyal to protecting ourselves because you want to stay in office, you want to stay in a position, or whatever? But I have a responsibility to my members and to the working class at whole. Chris, you and I went down to, and I say this a lot because it was in close proximity. You and I went down to, and Brother Brian Payton, he was there too. We went down to Gwen Wilcox's hearing in support because we knew how important the NLRB is. In getting there, we had to walk past the Teamsters headquarters. It was raining, it was cold. We were there in support because we knew our members needed the NLRB. I came from Philly, you came from New York, Brother Brian came from Virginia. The headquarters is literally right around the corner. Nobody from there was there to help support an agency that is supposed to protect our most important asset, which is our members. They weren't there. Then you see all this stuff with Musk and Trump. My man ain't said nothing. He told us on Fox News that, hey, we're gonna wait until the 101st day. Man, that day done went and passed. And he ain't saying that. He's not gonna say nothing. But Chris, you and David brought up something very, very important earlier. If that bill does not have tax on tips, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and they cut people's Medicare, he might as well go ahead and get out of Marble Palace Den, man. I'm telling you, because the workers are not going to stand for that. I can't see it. I can't see it happening.
It
Hooker,
actually,
real
it
quick.
actually
Hooker, real
raised-
quick. Hooker, real quick.
Yo,
Go on Facebook and look at the comments, please.
look at the comments.
Yeah,
Mama Jackie
go
said-
ahead. And Chris, you can go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it actually raises taxes on the working class, the big beautiful bill. So people are going to find that the top 10% gets a tax cut in increments from the 0.1% down, but the so-called middle strata worker, the working class, the UPS guy, the truck driver, they get nothing. They actually get a tax increase. And we actually have, there's going to be, as I say, when these things go through, he is going to look General President Bryan is going to look out of place. He already looks, he already is out of place. You know, I've been around this union a long time. And one of the things that always struck me, and funny enough, when the so-called mob was still around, I never saw this degree of fear. And today, when I look at this union, people are afraid to hold their head up, afraid to say something, afraid to do something. You can't be in a union and you're afraid of the leader. There's something wrong with that union. You either respect the leader or you might disagree with the leader, but you shouldn't be afraid to be the leader. You shouldn't be afraid to come out and say you running for office. There should be no retaliation for you exercising what the Constitution of the IBT says you have the right to do.
But Chris, this is another big problem that I've always had with this is we knew this going in. A lot of people voted for the general president because the stuff he was saying, that tough talk, and I get it because and I see it all the time. The rank and file members, they love that tough talk, colorful words. They get excited, they get pumped up, and they forget that where's the action that we forget about the action. We love the cursing and oh man, F this and F that, but after you done F'd everybody, what are you gonna do? What have you done? Right? And so, we knew that retaliation was a part of his character. He got suspended for it before, right? Comes in office and he suspends other folks, but this time the members had to pay all this money back.
Yeah.
That's part of who he is, but that doesn't get talked about a lot because people are afraid. TDU don't talk about it. They didn't say anything about that at all, right? So, and I'm going to say this, and this can probably going to get me some more trouble, but it's okay. I believe, and I could be wrong, it's my opinion. I believe UPS, the reason why they treat the workforce the way they do is because we as members allow it from our own organization. How can I get mad with them when I accept it from the people I'm paying all this money to? We accept it. We accept it. We didn't. I saw this letter that Hoffa sent out in 2011 about what UPS does. Harassment, retaliation, boom, 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 boom. We didn't change leadership. We didn't got 2-3 more contracts since then. UPS still do it. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Same people in the back of the book, same people negotiating. UPS doing the same thing. They give you a little bit more money, same stuff over and over again.
Yeah. So there's going to come a point where the worker has to decide what's important.
Yeah.
Is my dignity on the job important? Or is how much I get paid important? Right? So the company pays you to lose your dignity. Right? Company says, listen, I'm going to whoop you every day, but I'm going to pay you for it. You know?
Right.
Don't cry. Just take this whooping and keep moving. Right.
Right.
And I said this from when Jimmy was around, that at some point, the worker's going to have to. So I don't blow smoke. I'm not a person that say frivolous things, right? So it would be very easy for me to say you could do both. You could get money and change the working condition. I think in any contract year, you're going to have to make a choice. You'll never get both. You know what I'm saying? UPS wants to run the ship in a particular fashion, right? And they're willing to pay, right? But we also have to tell another truth that I don't know, maybe it does exist. I just don't know. I don't know of another company where a part-timer can retire with a pension. I don't know of another company where a part-timer gets health care. So UPS says, I'm willing to carry this load if I can stick my foot in your ass.
I hear you.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And at some point, we have to say, you know what? I don't want you to stick your foot in my behind anymore. And I don't want that money.
Well, can I add something? Okay,
Go
let
ahead.
me add this, because here's the thing. The UPS you can't tell UPS how to run their company,
Right.
but you can only allow them to do so much to your union members. So if you like this contract, let's use this contract. This contract had so many loopholes in this contract. It went from saying you shall adhere by to you may adhere by, or you may be able to do this. This contract gave UPS like a loophole, a noose for us, because they've been hanging us. And like I've been with UPS for 21 years. I've never sat on a grievance for 1 year. I have 4 grievances that's sitting from last year. All of them are paid. I mean, I don't mind because it's all penalty pay, so I'm not complaining. But it's what you allow, what UPS allow, because there was a time and a place in my local that we ran our hub, but we didn't run it like we the big baddest person. It was we knew our contract. We knew what the contract said. We knew our rights. We knew how far you can go. You don't have that anymore because you have so many shop stewards, because everybody's always on part-timers, and I am a part-timer. You have shop stewards who are in management pocket. So if you point the finger, you got to point it at both the union and at UPS, because as a company standpoint, I'm going to see what I can get away with.
There you go,
And
right there.
and if UPS gonna allow me, I mean, the union gonna allow me to get away with it, because what goes on in Ontario hub, I mean, what goes on in the Inland Empire Building hub, it would never go on in the Ontario hub because we don't stand for it. So you have to point your fingers at both sides. And Chris, you are right. I don't know, but I don't think there is another job that give part-timers all the benefits that we got. Like, I have 3 kids. I have pretty much my own schedule. I have been graciously blessed that they have allowed me to work around my kids. Either I come in the morning, if they got something to do, I get to come at night. So I think a lot of us part-timers are grateful for what we have. Then we still have the pension, the part-time pension, not pension, the part-time trust that we get staying as part-time. Every hour that we work, we get so much money put in that. We have all that. So yeah, I agree with you. I don't know too many people or too many companies who would entertain that thought. But that was all I wanted to say.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So like I say, if you have a steward that's in the company's pocket, that's up to the members, right? The members can
Yeah.
vote, right? You elect them, you can unelect them.
You would think if they're not appointed, because all
Right.
these, yeah, we got some special stuff going on in some of these local.
Yeah.
You know, but and it goes back to the thing that I say all the time, that we get into a thing where where it's very easy to highlight what the problems are. It's very difficult to highlight the fix, right?
Yeah.
How do you stop this? How do you cure this, right? So in this situation, you heard Richard say, "Hey, listen, man, I done seen this past several years, and I hate to say it, but they making Jimmy look real good right now."
Man, let me tell you something, Chris. I got elected in 2019, took office in 2020. So I lived and had to work under all those contracts. 2000, came in 99, so you got 2002 to 2008, 2008 to 2013, 2013, 2018, and then 2018 to 2020, right? And so all the stuff that Hoffa was in charge of, right? O'Brien was there, right? If you go back 2008, you're talking about a contract. 2008 to 2013 was the first year that I know that we had split raises. So you didn't get the full raise. You got it for half the year. And they extended the time it took for you to get top wage union scale. Went from 2 to 3 years. When I started, it was 2 years. Then it went to 3. And then the 2013 contract, they don't really talk about that too much. So the 2013 contract and the 2018 contract are brother and sister in my eyes. They had the same parents, right? And so big concessions in both. Um, um, there was a break in there with 2016 delegate election. Fred almost wins, but it was based off what had happened in a 2013 agreement. And I had a older officer at the PA conference come up to me and say, "Hey man," he said, "I'll bet you if that 2016 election, if those 6,000 votes didn't, from Canada weren't counted, we wouldn't be talking about O'Brien right now." Right? Right. And so 2018 contract, listen, you say what you want about the general president. My man is a a masterful politician. He saw the writing on the wall. He knew that they didn't have a shot at winning in 2021. He knew they were done. So he did what he did, right? And he's the general president now. But then this contract right here, a lot of money, largest increases I think anybody has ever seen. But the one thing that we didn't get, well, it's a few things. We don't have any protection against automation. And my man went to where did he go?
A big speech someplace.
Right, out on the West Coast, Sacramento. My man was out there, man. We stopped him. We got language. We stopped him from automating and we protected him. We ain't protected against nothing. And now members are starting to see it. They starting to feel it. They starting to experience it. Man, they came to my hub last couple weeks ago for the signature, getting signatures, right? My members wore them out, wore them out. And listen, and I can guarantee you the majority of UPS workers across this country feel the same way. I'm not telling you about something I think. I'm telling you what I know because I talked to them.
Yeah, there has to be uh, the union has to be liberated.
Yes.
And we thought we did that when Ron Carey came into view. We thought we had liberated the union, and then Jim comes in. And I can tell you, because Jim and I went back and forth for 22 years, and I never felt any thought of a guy was going to retaliate against him. I knew he wouldn't help me. You know what I'm saying? I knew if I
Right.
went to help, he wouldn't help me. But I didn't think that he would harm me. You know what I'm saying? And now we're in a union where, you know, I watch people who ran. How do you run with Verma and then turn around in light of everything you have seen and run with O'Brien? Is it just the money? Is it just the title? You know what I'm saying? Because I know some of these people and I know they don't agree. You understand the point I'm saying? So, like, how do you make this leap? But here's the thing now, right? Because Richard put himself out there, and we have a role to play in terms of in all our little areas in getting signatures and
No.
right. So let me repeat that because I heard some feedback. So let me say this with clarity. We need signatures and we need money. Because if you want change, you can't pray for change.
Yeah, you gotta work.
You have to vote for change. You
Yeah,
have
gotta
to work for
You gotta
change.
work.
You have to create the change that you want to see, right? And so people who are out there who are principal officers and what have you, who don't like what they see, who feel intimidated by what they see, if you want to be liberated, then you got to join the revolution, which means that you got to reach out to Richard and says, hey, I want to be on your slate. I'm willing to do something. I'm willing to raise money. I'm willing to do the things I got to do because they've already bought off a lot of people. There are people who, like I said, I could never be that person who were rah, rah, rah for Verma. I mean, yeah, rah, rah, rah. And then a few years later, their leader switches ships and they all switch ships. Now, I don't roll like that. I mean, I walk my own path. I live my own life. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't flip me unless I want to be flipped. You know what I'm saying? And but we have to go out and do the work. So we have to go out and get the signatures for Richard. And
So Chris, real quick, Chris. So somebody had asked me a little while ago about, hey man, we gonna send you some money. I said, and I know you, and I know how you feel about this. I don't feel comfortable asking anybody for money. I don't like doing that. But so what I did was I told people, I said, listen, take that money, organize your shop, talk, get some flyers made, go like you said, get a breakfast club, and you talk about why there needs to be a change in leadership. Now I'm not naive. I do know it takes money to run a campaign. I do know that. But what I did tell people was, hey man, take that money that you were going to spend and invest it into your membership, to your coworkers, and explain to them this is why change is needed. You see what's going on. You see the attacks on the working class. You see what's going on with your contract, and get ready for the PR. It's already here. But get ready for that. And I do want to say this too before we close, and I know we still got a little bit more time. I know how this works. They're gonna try to paint me to be the worst person in the world. But I do want to say this for everybody. When they do that, thank God I kept receipts and all that stuff. Because if the same people who are going to tell you I ain't this and I ain't that, were the same people, or same kind of people who were sending me a message about I was very impressive in negotiating my supplement. Those same people come to my hall saying, hey, in Pennsylvania, there was only about 2 or 3 locals that grew outside of UPS, and 623 is one of them, right? So when they start talking, and another thing about the panel, IBT reps talking about, hey man, this is one of the best mercy cases we've ever seen here in my local. So I just want to put it out there. So when you start hearing this stuff, you will know that, hey, what you're talking about Hooker is not correct. Here is the receipts. Here is what's going on. So I'm looking forward to it, to tell you the truth.
Hooker, Judy showed up at every prayer meeting, so whatever.
Ooh, what you talking about, man? Woo. Judas showed up, man. I hear you. I'm gonna send you my offering for that one. That's a good one.
So
So
when you start running Hooker, are you gonna come out to everywhere? Or are you gonna predominantly just stay where you
No,
at?
I
Are you
gotta go.
going
I
to
gotta go. I gotta go where I gotta go. You know what I mean? I'm going everywhere.
okay, that's
I'm
what
going to get me some Bojangles down south, man.
stupid.
Go to
No,
Chicago.
no, no, you're not getting no Bojangles. Oh, no, 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 no.
You
No,
almost
Now
no,
you,
got
no,
you,
you almost got kicked out. Don't do
you,
no,
you
that.
gotta let the brother get
no,
what he need. He gotta get what he
Don't
no,
need
do
now.
that.
You get
no,
the message.
no, no.
Sometimes you
We're
gotta
gonna
break
take
a
you
biscuit and
somewhere
break
else.
we gotta
No,
break
no,
bread and
no,
break chicken over, a couple signatures. Sometimes you gotta
no,
do
so let me
no.
just say, let me say this in the interest of uh, for you to get on board. I know half a slate, and back then it was about $85,000 that you had to raise
Like
if
100.
if you wanted to be on his slate. And so if you think there are 20 odd people times 85,000, I don't know what millions that adds up to. You're going to need money. So one of the things we have to realize is that we have to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time.
Mhm.
We have to be able to walk, chew gum, spit, and other things collectively, right? So we're going to have to raise money because you ain't going to be able to go downside and eat no Bojangles chicken.
Right.
Because you are limited to how much money you are allowed to put in your own campaign.
Yeah.
Right. So if you had 100,000 saved up, but you were going to use that 100,000 to travel
It ain't
around,
gonna work. Yeah.
it ain't going to work. Right?
They'll put you out. Oh, you violated. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So and this is where we lack energy. And most of the blacks that I've seen since I've been around, I've never had a problem raising money for a white candidate. they've always had a problem raising money for Black candidates. We're going to have to change that mindset. We're going to have to change that reality. We're also going to be very dependent on social media to reach places. So people are going to have to share and collect email addresses and collect Instagram addresses or whatever, however people communicate today. People are going to have to collect that information and pass it on. But I'm going to tell you this, that when you hear them attacking his character, remember one thing, it's because they can't tell you about what they did. Because if they
Okay.
did something, they wouldn't have to talk about him. They could say, yo, you don't want no parts of him because I did ABC 1, 2, 3. He presided over the end of, because I did ABC 1, 2, 3, YRC. And at one point actually had put out a thing with the tombstone.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
buried
that.
YRC.
Yeah, man, that was.
Those are people's jobs.
Yeah, man, that was rough. That was
None of
rough.
those corporate guys lost their house. None of those corporate guys lost anything. And so when you put that tombstone out, you weren't burying the CEO and the VPs and the shareholders. You were burying the workers. And that there should have been something, half a loaf is better than no loaf. And we should have found a way to keep that thing surviving until we could have, there was a better way. And we could have found somebody to invest in YRC to buy it out, like we did with Clinton's friend buying out some of them car haul companies back in the day, right? And we made a deal with him, and it is what it is. But we have to have a union that recognize the interests of the workers, right? And it has to recognize the poor public schools, healthcare, mental health issues, voter registration, voter suppression. We have to be able to juggle 10 things, right? And it can't all be the general president. The secretary of treasurer has to
Yeah.
be juggling 10 things. The VPs have to be juggling 10 things. We need a union that's capable of doing a lot on a regular basis, not just every month, a couple of months, you come up with a magazine. And I tell people, call up the IBT and ask for a sister named Karen Jones and ask her to send you a copy of a Teamster magazine from the 50s and the 60s and compare it to what they're putting out today and see if you don't see the difference between a real critical piece of magazine giving you some information versus a puff piece in which everything is hunky-dory and everything is beautiful and everybody's having a wonderful time and we're the greatest, right? I mean, they have a T-shirt, Teamsters Against Everybody. Is everybody Teamsters too? You know, are we against the sheet metal workers? Are we against the? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is the stupidity that's running this place for you to even come out with something that don't make sense. But yet and still, was it Teamsters
Mobilized.
Mobilized.
Teamsters Mobilized?
Yeah.
Yes, you
Come
have a
out
few
with the
members.
right T-shirt.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Teamsters
Working-
against the ruling class.
Yeah. Working class versus ruling class.
Right?
Whose side
Yeah.
are you on? That's right.
Who-
Whose side are you on?
That's it.
That's how you know that they don't understand nothing, right? And all them 20-something people sitting around that table with him are allowing him to run amok just to collect a check and not get in trouble, right? That when they went and voted no on endorsing Kamala, they all ran back home to their various bases and voted yes to endorse Kamala, right? And now we're in a situation where, because the federal workers wouldn't be suffering like this.
No,
They wouldn't have taken away collective bargaining
No.
rights from the TSA workers.
no.
None of this would have been happening. There'd have been some other stupid things that were happening, but it wouldn't be this, right? And so we have to get our union to get behind Brother Richard Hooker, right? No fear,
No,
Right.
you can't have
Just gotta
that.
roll. right? And we're going to do what we have to do. And I'm inviting all the principal officers that's out there that's living in fear. Fear no more. Stand up. Because you can stand up and support Richard Hooker and change your tomorrow, right? So congratulations, my brother. I'm certainly going to be there in that struggle,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
I tell people, because some people ask me, I said, if they drag me into it, I would run. But it's not my interest. We need young people on that board. We need a new dynamic, people that are not tied up with what yesterday looked like. We need people that are looking forward, that have new ideas. I mean, like I just watch how Richard, with his social media stuff and what have you like that. We need an entire executive board that can help. You know what I'm saying? If you want to give me a job trying to mobilize people to vote and do some special work, I'll be more than happy to do it. And if you said to me, hey, listen, I need one more seat to be filled, fill it for me, I will. But I want to see young folks. I want to see a board in which nobody was over the age of 55. Young, dynamic, energy, right?
Yeah.
Right. Willing to run around, no aches and pains,
So no aches and pains.
Because I mean, if I run over here today and do something too tough, and I had to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's hard. I mean, like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? We need some people that could do that stuff. I mean, like I used to be able to party till 6 o'clock in the morning and go straight to work and work all day. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh-wee.
I couldn't handle that now. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
I need 3 days worth of rest and then go to work.
I hear you. I hear you.
But we need a young board, we need a dynamic board, we need an inclusive board, but we need a board that understands that the leader doesn't see himself as being above them. He sees himself as a part of a team
Yeah.
in which everybody's opinion here matters, right? And that's the kind of a future that we're looking for in this union. And that's why we're going to support Richard. Because I told myself we call it the clean hands and a pure heart.
I hear you.
Because we need to have people that have clean hands and have a pure heart who are focused. I mean, I saw some stupid things when he got arrested on May 1st. And I thought, you're in the labor movement? Really? So we understand that racism is going to be at play. We understand that sexism is going to be at play. We understand that there's a lot of things that's going to be at play. But one thing that will not be at play is character.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because that's the one thing that they won't be able to attack you, and they're going to find that every time they attack you, they're going to find that it backfires and bounce back at them 10 times harder.
Brother, it has already started, and I'm not going to talk about it today, but they've tried it and they have failed miserably.
Yeah.
And I get it. I mean, it's politics. They're going to try to do whatever they can, and I'm not going to talk about it here, but yeah, it was bad. But again, this is why I can't wait until this thing start to move and people and rank and file people start to ask these questions, because one of my main things is I'm not gonna have these colorful speeches and I definitely not gonna be using these crazy words. My thing is I'm gonna be talking directly to your heart and to your mind. You're going every day you hear me talk, you're gonna be convicted. Oh my God, can we continue down this road? When you go get up in the morning, go brush your teeth. Can we continue to go down this road? It's just that simple. You're gonna have to answer that question. I can't answer it for you.
That's right.
Oh, Brian can't do it. Yvette, Chris, you are going to have to answer that question every day because I'm gonna put it on you. I'm telling you, you're gonna be like, man, I never thought about it that way. Because again, I tell people all the time, I'm a rank and file person that just so happens to be a principal officer, and that's the way I operate.
That's
Because
the
I
way
haven't
I
I haven't forgotten what it was like to be in that truck, to be in that warehouse, to load those packages, to do this and do that. I haven't forgotten that because that's how I got here, and I'm not gonna forget that
Yes.
because that struggle, that pain, dealing with these abusive employers, that put me in this position. And I know that's what our rank and file members are going through right now.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna speak directly to that. Absolutely.
Right. So let me just ask you want to talk about this letter that went to all these local unions?
Yeah, I think we have to. We talked about it yesterday at our Eastern Region meeting, and I'm gonna let you because I know you really want to dig into it. So we talked about it yesterday at our Eastern Region TNBC meeting because the TNBC right now are experiencing some financial difficulties. And, the letter itself, the message, I can agree with. There needs to be some protocols there. There needs to be some things looked at to make sure that we don't go down this road again. The issue is when you try to use it as a political attack. So, Chris, I'm just going to say this piece, and I'm going to let you, because I know you really want to get into it. So, International Vice President at large, James Drake, sent this letter out addressed to Eric Tate. Now, for what I'm being told, and if I speak out of turn, Eric, somebody probably going to call and let me know. So, Eric, um, they asked him to endorse the slate. He said, from what I'm being told, he didn't. He wasn't going to endorse them. So that's why they addressed it to him, but they sent it to everybody. So I got it and started reading this, talking about this meeting that we had at the Unity Conference. Word got back to James. James wrote a letter saying that, hey, we're hearing all this stuff. There needs to be some curtails on some things. That I do agree. There needs to be some changes on how the money is spent and everything like that. That I agree. But when you use it as a political apparatus to make yourself look good, that is a problem because now you're making it about the politics instead of getting to the root of the problem. Because why? But it's also to send a message to anybody that's connected to the TNBC that may have a difference of opinion of the slate. So everybody knows I'm running now, right? I'm also a board member on the TNBC. So the politics says, hey, how can we trust Hooker if the TNBC is going down the drain? Can we support him or can you vote for him or should you vote for him knowing that? And yes, I did get people telling me, hey man, you should step down and this, I got you. Again, this is where that loyalty and responsibility where I talked about. So I'm not loyal to politics. I have a responsibility to help the TNBC. Number one, I wasn't elected to the TNBC. I was appointed because somebody from the Eastern region stepped down. So I want to help my sister out, Dr. Cooper, in that role. So that's what I did. So we're going to help the TNBC get out of this situation. We're not going to turn our back on Curb or anybody like that. We are going to do what we set out to do, which is help the TNBC get out of this thing. Now, politically, they're going to use it and say, "Oh man, but I want to throw this. I'm gonna throw this in for free. I've been audited 3 times in the last 5 years, passed every one of them. IDO came, passed that audit too. So again, when they start using this stuff to try to come at me, just know that by their own metrics, I passed. So go ahead, Chris. I know you want to go deeper into
Yeah.
that.
So, first of all, Brother James Wright is not a member and has not paid dues in at least 2 years to this organization.
Hold on, Chris.
Hey, say that again. He ain't
James,
what? Say it
James
again.
is not a member?
James
Right.
Wright is not a member, ain't paid dues in 2 years.
So how he got a
TNBC.
hold of y'all
But no, no.
information?
TNBC, right?
TMBC.
So he could have wrote the letter, and this is how you know he didn't write the letter. Because if this is a TNBC problem, the letter should have been addressed to Kirby
Right.
and to the treasurer.
He's right.
Eric Tate is now the executive director. Kirby. Right. And to the treasurer.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I had to mute somebody that was on. Go ahead.
And so this is a letter whose return address is the Slate address. But this is how they use stooges. Now I'm gonna be very clear. Tokens, powerless Negroes that hold high office, useless to anyone because they push no agenda that's germane to the working class of African American people outside of any little narrow bargaining unit that they may or may not represent. I don't know James Wright to have ever raised money for TNBC. I don't believe there's a chapter in Virginia. You don't have no money in this thing. I've spent a lot of my life raising money for this organization. And the organization, the problem with the organization is twofold. They should have listened to what I told them in Miami when I told them you got to raise the dues, right? But if you lost money, right, there's only two ways to go, right? So James Wright could go to Sean O'Brien and says, you need to support this organization. I'm a vice president. I'm a black guy. I go there and wear my little fancy blue tight suit and what have you like that. And you need to send them some money, right? So use your power on the board to help raise some money. Use your power as a local union officer to help raise some money. You've never done that. You've never done that, right? So you can't talk about the economic issues around TNBC. All you doing is stooging for massa, right? So let's be very clear. I don't want to do no mix up. Be very clear. You a stooge, right? Because if that was your letter, it would come back to your home, or it would come back to your local union office, or it would come back to something in which you had control over it. TNBC has an economic issue that I have made very clear different paths that I thought they should take in terms of trying to rectify the problem. They ignored all of that. And so if you have a better path than me, then go on and do your thing. Because if you're telling me you're going down 3rd Avenue and I think 3rd Avenue is a dangerous place, I ain't going to stop you. I'm not going with you. It's not out of not wanting to see TNBC thrive, but TNBC has not been what its founding members wanted it to be in a long time. before Kirby. Before Kirby. When Al Mixon took over, poor Ferline clueless, and now Kirby. When you take on that role, you take on the responsibility. Can't say you don't know, you wish you had, you could have done. You're the head of Local 623. You can't say you didn't know, you wish you had.
No, can't.
You're responsible for every outcome,
Everyone.
good, bad, or indifferent.
Yep.
When you're the chairman of TNBC, you're responsible, right? And I said, if you look at my letter in Miami, that board need to be made up of principal officers and people from chapters that have 50 or more members, which tells you that they're doing something to maintain, because everybody got to 50, but nobody can go to 60 and 70 and 80 and 100. They all slide back to 3, right? So they talk about this and that. I've raised the money for TNBC. I raised $20,000 when we went to New Orleans. I didn't, just a couple phone calls. Hey, why would you shut me out if you needed money? You know I could raise some money, right? So why would you shut me out? So the fact that you shut me out tells me you're more interested in your situation than the organization's situation. TNBC was designed to be in opposition to the IBT. And I don't mean negative opposition. I mean opposition because we were fighting for inclusion, right? So that Bob Simpson, Levi Sanford, Doc James, all those people that were part of the origination of this organization all had positions already. But when they looked around, they saw that they didn't have what other people were getting who were less than they were, right? So they built an organization, and they built an organization at a time when you could sleep with the fish real easy. The different Teamsters back in 71, right? It's a different organization in 75. But those people went and stood up to make sure that we could have an organization that pushed and got people, and they were successful, right? The consent decree comes in and changes the dynamics of the organization, right? And so that we were now there and we said, hey, you had to change. We had a chairman at the time, Claude Brown, who I love dearly, but Claude refused to change. And we ran against Claude Brown, right? And we beat Claude, and we took over. And that's when you started to see the workshops and, educating people to how to run a local union, right? You get elected, right? What do I do now, right?
Right.
We strayed away from this, and we went into this party thing where, people are spending and sitting at the bar, who's drinking Cavassier and big cigars and all that kind of stuff, which I don't have a problem with it. You know what I'm saying? But that happens after you took care of some business. And so I put my piece in when they were going. I called people that says, hey, why didn't you call me about this money thing? And they told me it was politics, right? So they would rather that to come up short than to say, hey, Chris, help me, right? It's cool. I'm not going to TNBC. And after what happened in Vegas, I don't think I'll ever go back to TNBC. I'll be a long day. It'll take something to make me go back. But I do that with a heavy heart because I can help. But if you don't want my help, then cool. You know, we're good. Yeah, man, I'm gonna move on. But TNBC will survive. And at some point, people are going to have to realize I resigned from TNBC because I thought that I had that the synergy between me and the board wasn't correct, right? So I self-critique, right? So I can look in the mirror and see that I'm not the guy I was at 27. You know what I'm saying? I can see I'm a little chunkier and I can't run as far and I can't jump as high, you know. So I don't fool myself. So I said, well, you know, Chris, maybe it's you. You know, because you say, oh, Chris, you want to move too fast and okay. So I stepped down, and a guy named Terry Freeman, who was then the principal officer of Local 507, took over. And they attacked Terry Freeman like he was a seal in the midst of a whole bunch of great white sharks.
Mm.
I said, whoa, it wasn't me, it's them. So we go to St. Louis, we run an election, and they bus in people. I don't know who they are. Some of them still come around, but they didn't come to participate in TNBC. They came to vote with not knowing anything about the organization. I know that when you do those things, it means that you're more interested in you and a title than you are in the organization.
Yeah.
And so they won by 8 votes. And the only reason they won by 8 votes is because they didn't allow those people, because they weren't registered to participate. So they couldn't come to the workshops or whatnot. Because when people saw them, they said, yo, Chris, they bust all these people. And I says, don't worry about it. Once they come to the workshops, we'll win half of them over. We're good, right? Because I was confident in the work that we did. We lost by 8 votes. I never went back because there were some things said at that conference that people should have taken responsibility for, and they didn't. And it took until, I think we were in Las Vegas, and they invited me to come to Las Vegas to issue this apology. I still don't feel I got the apology I was looking for, but people said I got it, so I'm good. All right, we're cool. But when I stepped down, I still kept doing my workshop because I love to teach people about what I believe to be a great organization, the Teamsters, and what I believe is a great caucus, the Teamsters National Black Caucus. But you can't have the dues at $50 a year when you're not growing, right? Now, if you're growing, membership, maybe the answer is yes. But I've left, I resigned from TNBC 2005, we had Farrakhan, I think 2006, maybe 7. I'm the one that raised the dues to $50. And I raised the dues to $50 in like 2003, 2004, right? So you think that it's been 20 years and no one has saw fit to increase the dues. But people come here and drink $200 worth of liquor every night. Something's wrong with that. Something's wrong when you're not mobilized to do certain.
Right.
This is about building strength and power.
Mm-hmm.
You do not build strength and power at a bar. You build strength and power in the street. You build strength and power in classrooms, in education and environments, in mobilization, right? So I'm more than ready to lift TNBC up in a heartbeat. But changes have to be made, real changes, dramatic changes, right? And it ain't about accounting. It's about whether you're bringing in money and raising money for the organization, right? And then how do you spend it?
Yeah.
Right? You have all this big screen stuff. You go to Vegas and put them big screens up, that's big money. In Las Vegas, we spent $20,000+ on an election for 400 people. The math is, you couldn't put a committee of guys together and gals and have a committee to run the election? We had to spend $20,000. That's abhorrent, right? We ran an election in St. Louis. I lost. I don't think it cost us $1,000.
Mm.
Because we had to print ballots and
Yeah, yeah.
So people have to look and understand how you leave Miami losing money and don't make any adjustments going into Las Vegas and lose even more money. But you know what? That's not every local's business. That's the business of Teamsters National Black Caucus, right? And this individual chose to use this incident to put everybody on blast. Now, why, like I said, why he sent the letter to Tate, now that I'm hearing this story, now I understand, because it didn't make sense that I wouldn't have sent an economic letter to the treasurer. You
Right.
know, saying that I wouldn't have sent it to the chair of the
Yeah,
organization.
exactly.
But we're not going to let it die. Certainly, I don't want it to die. But it has to change. And when they decide that they're going to make those changes, and they could just go back and look at my literature from Miami, it'll tell them all what I thought. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to rehash it here. But when they decide to do that, then I'll come back and I'll help, like I did before. They could go and ask Nate Jackson, Eric Tate, and Preston Ritchie can tell you the conversation we had in Miami and what Nate Jackson told them about my time as the chairman compared to every other chairman in the organization, and how they spent all their time trying to trip me up. Think about that. Preston said he couldn't believe the pleasure that Nate Jackson told that story of trying to trip up the chairman of the organization. Told it with pleasure. It's a disease.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, the Teamsters politics, man, it's nasty. Oh,
Because from its inception,
terrible.
the IBT has always had a hand inside of TNBC. Sometimes a heavier hand, sometimes a lighter hand.
Yeah.
But they've always had a hand. When we left Chicago, and Minister Farrakhan spoke and everything like that, they put 17 people on payroll with a stipend or otherwise. Right? Right? Bought them off. Your job is to get rid of that guy right there. Right? Because we're going to be doing things that's going to upset this oligarchy that exists in this organization. You ever wonder why we don't have rank and file elections for joint council presidents?
I mean, listen, I wonder that from the first day that I went to my joint council in the conference. I wondered why. Because we have elections for everything else. Your local election.
Right. And it skip over.
Right.
Because that's how you springboard. If you look at the executive board of the IBT, that's the place where you can collectivize.
Yeah.
Right? You're the joint council president, 20 of these locals is gonna help you and get for you and blah blah blah. So if you open that up to rank and file power,
yeah, things would change.
Things would change.
Yeah. Because now that you say that, if you look at, I can't, because there's only 3 conferences left. I don't know how many joint councils, but for an example, my joint council president, who's also the PA conference president, who is also the Eastern Region president, if you think about for what you just said, he has the whole state of Pennsylvania and about 30 some odd locals in Philly. Well, that's a big block of support for the general president.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Because it's about 100,000 I think they said about 95 to 100,000 Teamsters in Pennsylvania.
And when 75% of the membership don't vote,
Yeah,
this little group can mobilize this little group,
yeah, yeah,
do something. You
yeah.
understand what I'm saying? So what we have to do if we want to change is we have to change the dynamics of the organization,
Yeah.
right? Because who are you going to know better? Joint council or international, right?
Yeah.
You're in
Yeah.
Atlanta, you're in Pennsylvania, right? You're going to know these guys,
Yeah.
joint
Yeah.
council guys, because you go to the meetings and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
So those things will have to change. We're going to change the organization.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we also have to look at one of the things that they can do. So, you know, you have the Unity Conference, right, which brings all these Teamsters together, and then you have a fundraiser. Well, should your opponent be able to have a fundraiser at the same event?
Yeah.
Come to the event at, you know, at the expense of the union, because that's how you got there, right? If you want to make it fair and equal, so anywhere that you have an event, you got to invite your opponent to come there too and be able to set up a fundraiser for himself at union expense.
At union expense.
That's how you got there, right? So they got rid of the guy Marks, whatever his name was.
Yeah, Richard Marks.
Richard Marks, that had overseen the last 2 or 3 elections. I went to Boston to get an Irish guy who has never run one of these to run it.
Would they run the election?
Yeah. They have a new election officer.
Right.
Where do you think
I didn't know you from Boston though.
I bet you my bottom dollar.
What?
Tell me somebody that got something that ain't from Boston and that ain't Irish. Even the Italians got squeezed out. Right. So we have to be very careful about this march forward, because this entity, you didn't appoint this guy, because Marx ain't done nothing wrong. I don't think Marx quit. Right. Marx got shunted to the side. Right. And if you're Donald Trump, you're going to do everything to protect O'Brien from losing this election, because he is going to do what I tell him to do, because he already submitted to me. Because everybody who goes to Mar-a-Lago goes to submit. Nobody goes there to stand up. Nobody goes there to raise no hell. Everybody that goes there, go down there to kiss that ring and pay homage to the man. That's where we at. But when you see these black faces that are now getting on board this slate, and you see these faces, ask them, you down with the Trump thing? You down with right to work? You're down with destroying federal jobs? You're down with destroying Social Security and Medicaid and is this what you're telling me? Because when you're a part of the labor movement, we are a part of all of that. Because when you retire, you're going to need Medicare. And if you fall off a bridge tomorrow, you're going to need Medicaid. Because UPS will only give you health insurance, but for a period of time. Right? It's there to help poor people.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important that we make Richard Hooker win. This is going to be, I think I said this to Rich one time, like climbing Mount Everest in the middle of winter. But who said it can't be done?
Listen, they told me, Chris, and I think I've said this before, when we ran for office for 623, that we couldn't do it. Not only did I do it, well, not only did we do it, we got reelected. Right? And so this is one of those, I can hear my popping my head right now talking about all this stuff, about, greater is he that is in me, that is he that is in the world, and all these scriptorial things that I can always lean on. But and that's my faith is really the driving force behind all this. Man, I know I can't do this on my own. Because like you said, this is a Mount Everest in the middle of winter type situation. And I know it is, because nobody before me in that position has looked like me.
That's right.
Right. And then you got to talk about how my man has already got a mountain of money. He's, getting everybody to max out $2,000 so they can't, contribute to anybody else. And I get it. And it's always harder to beat the incumbent, especially someone who's been, I think he's been in there in some role with the IBT since what, 2011 or something
Long
like that.
time. A long time.
So he's in it, right?
Yeah.
And he's not going to want to let that go because he believes it belongs to him. And I get that. But it does not. It belongs to the rank and file. And this election is really going to be the rank and file
Yeah.
versus, if you want to put on the shirt, this is going to be the rank and file versus the IBT.
Versus the oligarchy.
Yeah.
IBT.
That's what this is going to
That's
be.
right.
In this perception that you have some inheritance because you're from local 25 and more, and you know what? And all the crooked general presidents came out of 25.
Oh no. With McCarthy.
Really? Oh, Jesus, that's dumb.
What's the other one?
Billy McCarthy had one from way back when, name escapes me right now. But I think O'Brien is the fourth. O'Brien is the third or the fourth. But no other local has had more general presidents than 25. But 25 is a big local,
Yeah.
had a lot of history and what have you, but he didn't learn nothing. That's the problem. He's not a trade unionist. He didn't study this thing, right? He came for a title. He came for a position. He didn't come to be a student of what it takes to build a movement. And that's why you just run in, terminate everybody. You didn't even know any of these people, and I'm going to go back and say, you come and said Kirby, your friend, but you're fired.
Yeah.
I don't know too many people, not in this union, that fire their friends, right? And you walk up here and say, hey, my friend, I mean, how dare you, right? But the temerity, right?
Yeah.
And then they have other people that get angry because I asked them to support Reverend Barber, right? And they thought, well, how can you ask me this from the floor? Well, where you want me to ask it from? Your suite? You didn't invite me up. If you did, I would have asked you in the suite, right?
Right.
This is where we were.
You know what, Chris, too, before we go, another thing that bothered me about this letter, not only was it political in nature, but Chris, I didn't get a letter because I know in the letter they were concerned about the members' money, and I'm also concerned about the members' money. But Chris, I didn't get a letter when the members' money had to go to almost $3 million in racial discrimination lawsuit.
That's right. That's right.
I didn't get a letter when was it Miss Colleen?
That's right. The three of them.
Right. They got fired, got brought back.
Pulled
The
back
members,
pay.
right. The members' money again had to go to, was it 2 years
Right.
of back pay? Again, members' money.
Right.
I didn't get a letter for that.
I get no letter about that.
I didn't get a letter. And see, that's the stuff that bothers me about this organization. It's too political, it's too transactional. And then we wonder why the members don't want to get involved, man, because we put our titles over the people. And that's a problem, man. But yeah, I didn't get a letter. I don't know if anybody else got a letter. Chris, did you get one?
No, it didn't write a letter when they were firing all these UPS workers. We didn't get a letter about anything.
Yeah.
Right? Except when you were told by your handler to write this letter, right? Because you have no independent power. They could come tomorrow and just kick him off the board and he'd have to go because he doesn't have any independent power to say, yo, I could run without you and still be VP because I got it like that, right? Because that's when you have power. Let me tell you, I don't know if y'all know Local 804, there's a guy who used to be there named Johnny Brown. And Johnny Brown was the VP. And years ago, they used to tell me, said Johnny could run and win. Johnny could actually beat Ron Carey in that local, just chose not to. And every year they would run against everybody except Johnny Brown.
Hmm.
That's when you have power, right? And so these guys, these vice presidents, none of them can say, man, the hell with you. I run independently and win. Can't do it because you have no breath. Nobody knows who you are. Nobody ever heard about you. Nobody ever seen you do nothing. Like you say, when we went down to DC, the only people we saw that was affiliated with the Teamsters were former affiliated with the Teamsters.
Yeah.
All quit and went to work someplace else. And they knew, because they have trade union values, and they knew that this was something to do to come and support
Yeah.
this woman in her struggle, because one of the things that people don't understand is that the National Labor Relations Board also protects non-union workers.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in a union to go to the NLRB.
No.
You just got to be an aggrieved worker.
That's all you got to be.
Right? My members got back over $400,000 through the NLRB, right? So I know they do work, right? So this is, we have to change the union. If you want your union to be about the working class, then we need to change the union. We need to get a hookup. We need to get a slate together and make that slate win. And I'm telling you that people are going to see a dynamic like they saw when they saw Barack Obama. And people are going to be like, wow,
I hear you.
no idea. So for all of you people who watch this program, I hope you stayed to the end, because we're going to need you to become volunteers to collect signatures and raise money. We don't need $20 million because your voices are going to be louder than any money.
Yeah, that vote has a price.
But we are going to
That-
need money.
Yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
going to want to meet Richard Hooker and shake his hand and feel his spirit to know you're doing the right thing. So we're going to make sure that happens.
All right. Well, let's make a date for the next show.
Amen to that.
All right.
Let me see what we got here. June.
Oh, shit.
How does June 22nd look for you, Chris? Everybody.
It's my anniversary.
Oh,
It's a great day.
shucks. All right.
I'm good.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So
So could you
June
need
20.
to take me off of mute? Oh, there we go. I'm gonna just have to choke him. I'm gonna put me up on mute
Who?
without talking to me.
No, I didn't know you were trying to say anything. I apologize.
That's okay. It's all good.
So June 22nd.
Is that right after Father's Day weekend?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's okay. It's all good. Is that
All
right?
right.
You got some good comments on Facebook.
Yeah, I seen them. Yeah, everybody's
yeah,
excited, man. All right.
Yeah, they got some good ones, and that's a good thing. But when Obama came into office, they said a change is gonna come. So all you all, so is that what they're trying to say with the Teamsters? A change is coming.
We'll see.
Remember when Obama went in?
Mm-hmm. All right, well, we're gonna get out of here.
Great show, great show.
Yeah, this was
We
good,
got
man.
you, whatever you need. We
I
are here.
appreciate it.
Everybody
Yeah.
have a good week.
Yeah. I'm Miss Shaw, I'm coming down to get my Bojangles, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Everybody
we're
have a
gonna
good
we're gonna take you to a different place where are you going for the biscuits or the chicken?
Both of them.
Oh, well, I got a better place than Bojangles. You
I
will
don't
never.
think so.
Okay.
I don't know about
Well,
that
just
one.
get on down here. We're gonna show you. Come on back now. You hear? Come on back now. You hear?
Now, so my wife, she's from Savannah, so we go to Savannah.
Mhm.
And you talking about some good eating, man. Sheesh.
Yeah. So I'm gonna recommend the spot for you when you get here,
Mm,
and I promise you gonna love it.
okay.
Cause she ain't been to Savannah in a minute. See, she up there.
No, we were there.
No, they go to Savannah regular.
Yeah, we were there
Okay.
last year sometime or another.
Yeah, they got
That's where I
this
first
new.
ran into somebody who made some crab stuffing.
Yeah, this place right here, they sell seafood too. It's right down the street from the hub. You're gonna like it. They got great ratings,
Okay.
so you're gonna
Mm.
like it.
I ain't even got that invite. And I'm right here. But anyway,
Yeah,
okay.
milk and honey.
Oh,
Yeah, milk and
Oh,
honey.
okay.
Yeah. Yes, you
All right.
have.
Okay, I changed my mind. I ain't heard nothing about that. But yeah, you're right.
all right. So listen, man, thank you guys for this was a long show today, but we got a lot of information. Brother David was on here.
Yeah,
We
that was
missed,
good.
yeah, we missed Brother Reed, so hopefully we can get him on next time. And
I
but
gotta
yeah,
find out what happened to him.
yeah, but it was good to hear that the average E folks, man, they still fighting tooth and nail in the court, on the street, they everywhere. And that's what we got to do here in Teamsters, man. We're gonna have to, regardless of what the general president is doing, we as rank and file and other members, we have to take that fight up. Because I'm not, we can't wait for somebody who has already made their bed with anti-labor. So we gotta keep pushing. All right, good people, man. I'll see y'all next time.
All right, no doubt, man. Be
Okay.
well.
All right, take care.
Congratulations.
Have a
Oh,
great
thank you. Yeah, my phone
Right.
over here, man. I got like 1,000 texts, man.
It's on and
Lord
popping
have
now.
mercy.
On
Yeah,
your
tell us.
They
Facebook
was
too.
waiting.
On your Facebook too. So people asking
Oh
questions.
Lord. Okay.
It's
They
time. Let's
asking
go.
questions.
Oh
Let's
Lord.
go.
All right, let's
Okay.
hit it. All right, now I'll talk to y'all soon.
All right, be
All right.
well.
All right.